It's episode 11 of Survivor China, and last time, the trust within a couple of alliances significantly dropped. Daniela started thinking about taking out Maria, but did not take the risk in going through with it. On the other hand, Julian made it evident to Alec he did not appreciate the blind side against Jeannie and himself, therefore creating a rift between the two. With Daniela's idol causing paranoia within the majority snakes, it doubled after Daniela won immunity. The target then shifted to Adam, while the Phoenix side decided to chop the head of the snakes, Alec. In the end, Maria, Roland, and Steph acted as the true swing votes at Tribal, and they sent Adam to jury in a 7-4 vote, with Daniela wasting her idol on Hannah. With only 10 players remaining, who will not reach single digits? We'll find out today. It's night 23, and at the Ravagers' camp, Daniela and Hannah stand behind the shelter. In confessional, Daniela says it feels like a gut punch using her idol incorrectly. She had two names in mind, and they were Hannah and Adam. She thought Adam would be too obvious of a vote, but clearly the snakes outplayed her. Now, her and Hannah are practically on the bottom, with Julian alongside them. Daniela then tells Hannah she felt like it was impossible to know who they would put the votes on between her and Adam, so she took a guess. Hannah tells her it's not a big deal. While they lost another person who worked with them, the snakes will eventually turn on each other. In confessional, Hannah says she feels like now is the time to really step up as an individual player and place herself in a much better position on this tribe. With Adam gone as her closest ally, she needs to find a new close ally, someone who is in the majority right now. Maria and Roland are untrustworthy, so they aren't in her sights. Neither is Daniela because she's probably going home next anyway. She'll have to hold some chats tomorrow and see who might be the best pick for her. Meanwhile, Alec, Steph, Betty, Shelby, Maria, and Julian step aside from camp, and Alec asks if anyone here wants to own up to flipping just now. He knows it's not Garth. Julian then raises his hand and says he did it. He flipped. Alec then asks him why he flipped, and Julian admits it's because he just felt like his move against Jeannie wasn't right. It felt like a direct attack against him. In confessional, Julian says that while he's upset Alec is still here, he's more upset that Steph didn't stick with the plan tonight to send Alec home. She's his closest connection to the snakes at this point, so he'll need to figure out if she still has that trust with him or not. Steph then tells the group that while emotions are high between Alec and Julian, they need to keep their sights on Daniela because she is truly their biggest problem now. Betty agrees and says if Daniela wins immunity again, Hannah needs to go instead. It's day 24, and the Ravagers arrive to the challenge mat. Justin says good morning, claiming that they are competing for reward today. In today's challenge, everyone will need to rush to a body of water and scoop water with a small bucket. They must then rush to their bigger bucket and fill it up with the water. The bigger bucket will slowly drain the water inside of it over time, and once it's fully drained, that person is eliminated. The last player standing will win reward. The reward winner will get to go to the iconic Boba shop, and they will be able to bring some people with them. Everyone is now ready for the challenge, so Justin counts them down and begins. They all start running out to the body of water as their big buckets begin to drain. Many trips are made throughout the next 5 minutes, with a few people getting more trips done such as Roland, Daniela, Alec, and Hannah. Even Garth is keeping up pretty well. After a total of 10 minutes of the challenge, Shelby tells Justin that this challenge isn't for her, so she decides to sit down on the ground and let her bucket drain. Everyone else continues rushing back and forth, and Shelby's big bucket eventually drains completely, eliminating her first. At one point, Julian trips onto the ground but gets back up after a few seconds. Steph and Betty both stop running, deciding to give up, and Steph's bucket drains fully after a minute. Betty's bucket then also drains, making her the third eliminated. It's down to 7 people still running back and forth, and many buckets have less water than how the challenge started. Garth continues to walk, trying to keep up, but his big bucket eventually drains. After some time, Daniela and Alec both stand next to each other and catch their breaths, and Daniela asks him if he'll take her on reward if he wins. Alec says sure, and then he starts running again. Meanwhile, Julian says he's giving up because his leg hurts after the fall, so he sits down to rest. Hannah walks back to her big bucket and realizes all the water is gone, so she's the fifth person eliminated. Julian's big bucket then drains next, making him the sixth eliminated. It's down to Alec, Daniela, Maria, and Roland in this challenge. Maria tries to push herself to run, but keeps slowing down after some seconds. Alec and Roland start walking to the body of water to catch their breath, while Daniela tries to jog. A total of 15 minutes pass, and all four are still in the challenge. Trip after trip, water is being poured into the big buckets, but they keep actively draining faster than being filled. Maria's bucket is the next to fully drain, and then 4 minutes later, Roland's drains as well. It's down to Daniela and Alec, both barely having water in their big buckets. Both feel extremely gassed from this challenge, but Alec tries his best to jog back and forth. Daniela also tries to jog, but her bucket eventually drains not too long after, meaning Alec has one reward. Both Daniela and Alec sit down and rest, and Shelby quickly goes over to congratulate Alec. She asks him if he wants her to get his water, and Alec says he's good. She congratulates him once again and says he was such an athlete out there on that course. Back on the mat, Justin tells Alec he did a great job out there, so he calls him up front. Justin then tells Alec he can pick someone to join him on this boba reward, so Alec says he'll go with someone who would probably love to have some boba right now. He'll go with Shelby. Shelby then screams and says she's so happy right now, and she runs over and hugs Alec. Justin then tells Alec he can bring someone else, so Alec says he'll go with Steph. Steph smiles and thanks Alec, so she comes up front. Justin then says he can pick one last person to join in, and Alec starts to think about it. He then says he'll bring someone who he thinks would also really appreciate some boba right now, so he'll go with Hannah. Hannah says she's surprised and then heads up and thanks Alec. Justin then confirms that Alec, Shelby, Steph, and Hannah will go to the boba shop together and they'll go back to camp later in the afternoon. With that, everyone heads off, and in confessional, Hannah says she did not expect Alec to take her to the reward today. Maybe this will be her chance to enter a new alliance and find a new close ally. In another confessional, Daniela says she's not happy with Alec right now because he promised to take her to the reward during the challenge, and he instead took two of his own allies and Hannah. What a true snake he is. At the boba shop reward, Alec, Shelby, Steph, and Hannah all enter and are surprised to see Chloe from last season behind the counter. Alec immediately says he can't believe his eyes right now, and Hannah tells Chloe she absolutely loved her on Thailand. Chloe laughs and welcomes them all to the shop. They can order whatever they want from their boba menu. In confessional, Hannah says she not only got to meet the legend Kiana at the boat reward, but now she gets to meet Chloe, the winner of last season. Who else is she going to meet this season? Everyone then has their boba drink served on the counter by Chloe, and Shelby asks her if there is a washroom anywhere in this shop. Chloe then tells her it's down the hall, so Shelby thanks her. Hannah then cuts in and asks if she can quickly use it before her, and Shelby says it's not a problem. Hannah then rushes into the washroom, and in confessional, Hannah says there's no lucky toilet idol this time. Back in the shop, Alec, Shelby, and Steph sit at a table to enjoy their drinks, and Steph mentions that they might find something hidden here if they search now. Shelby says it's a perfect opportunity since Hannah is in the washroom, so they get up and start looking around. Hannah then exits the washroom door, so they all quickly run back to their table. Hannah then joins them and sits down, and Shelby says she'll go now. Shelby then heads to the washroom and Alec asks Hannah if she knows how she wants to navigate the game right now. Hannah then tells Alec she's unsure because she's obviously on the bottom, but it doesn't mean she's a close-minded player. Alec tells her he knows because they've been together since the swap, so he knows how she functions as a player. In confessional, Alec says he took Hannah to this reward because he wants to keep his name out of her mouth going forward. She has written it 4 times now, so maybe leveraging Boba will change her mind. Hannah then tells them that after losing Adam, she doesn't feel so chained to the Phoenixes anymore. She can work with whoever now. Alec then tells Hannah it's still possible to work with them. If Daniela goes home next, maybe they can shake things up and have a new core alliance together. Hannah says she would love this, and Steph says she's glad they could all have this chat right now. Shelby then returns to the group, and Alec lets her know that they filled in Hannah on the Daniela plan. Shelby says that sounds great, and she hopes everyone here sticks to their word and write Daniela's name down. Hannah promises she will because she's not super loyal to her. The 4 then finish up their boba drinks, slurping up everything to leave nothing behind. Steph comments she's so glad Alec took them to this reward, and Shelby says it was seriously heaven this past 30 minutes. Hannah then asks if they should look for a possible idol or advantage around here, and Alec says he doesn't see why not. They all start searching, and it doesn't take a minute until Alec finds a package inside a trash bin. He looks behind him and snatches without anyone noticing. In confessional, Alec says he can't believe he found an idol, especially at this stage of the game. His name was written down so many times now and he got worried he would eventually go home. Now with this extra protection, he feels like he can juice up his game and switch things around out here. Maybe Hannah will be his next closest ally in here after all. Meanwhile back at the Ravagers camp, Julian says he could kill for something sugary, and Betty says she would be lying if she said she wasn't a tad pissed at Alec. Daniela then starts making her way out of camp, and Betty immediately alerts everyone else that Daniela is on the move, so she and Garth begin following her out of camp. In confessional, Daniela says that when there's an opportunity to look for a new idol, why not take it? She has nothing to lose because she's on the bottom and just wasted her previous hidden immunity idol. Without one, she's basically lost. Daniela begins searching around, and Betty and Garth also search nearby, constantly keeping an eye out on Daniela. Daniela then notices them tracking her, but she continues looking anyway. In confessional, Garth says that he's at the stage of the game where he really cares about who holds power in this game. If someone from the bottom finds an idol, that could seriously shift things in a bad way for him. So it's best to just spy on those people, especially Daniela, who never hesitates to make a bold move. As the 3 search around for the idol, Daniela suddenly spots a package in a bush and yanks it. Betty notices and immediately tells Garth out loud that Daniela found it. Daniela hears this and yells back to enjoy their scramble, and then makes her way to the well. Garth then asks Betty how she even found it, and Betty tells him she just magically found it in a bush. In confessional, Betty says her heart dropped through the entire universe when she saw Daniela pull out the re-hidden merge idol from a bush. Just a random bush. Of course that lady would find one when it's most needed. Some time goes on in the day, and Daniela returns to camp where everyone else is at, and Maria asks Daniela if she had any luck with her idol search. Daniela admits she found the idol, though she expected everyone to know this by now because she was spotted with it. Betty says she definitely did share this information with everyone, so people are up to date on this. In confessional, Daniela says she felt cold energy in the air at camp, and that's because nobody really wanted her to find another idol. They all want her out of this game, but now they have to try again. She can do a lot with this idol, and one of the best things she can do now is try to mess with these people and force them to flip on each other. Therefore, this idol's power isn't useless after one round, but instead helps solidify new lines. Later in the day, Alec, Steph, Hannah, and Shelby return from their boba reward, and Betty immediately pulls Alec aside and lets him know that Daniela found the idol. Shelby and Steph then join in too, and Betty lets them know this information as well. Alec then tells Betty they'll figure out what to do now that they know about this idol. Shelby says she's just glad they spotted her with the idol since now they can work around it. In confessional, Steph says she feels like the survivor gods are giving her a sign that taking out Daniela isn't in her best interest right now. With Daniela holding the re-hidden merge idol, it really shifts the targets around on the tribe. Maybe it's time to flip things around and remove someone from this majority alliance she's in. It's a matter of time before it flips on itself anyway. Alec then tells the three that they should just keep calm since Daniela wants to create as much chaos and paranoia with that idol. Betty agrees and says she personally doesn't have an issue with that idol in play because they could always choose to split the vote anyway. Hannah and Julian are basically on a silver platter now. Meanwhile, Daniela and Hannah chat alone, and Daniela asks how the boba reward went. Hannah tells her that while she loved the boba itself, the chats were not productive at all. She tried to get something out of those three, but none of them wanted to make a move. In confessional, Hannah says that she's choosing to lie to Daniela right now because this relationship isn't going to work moving forward. If she wants to make it far and potentially win this game, she needs to convince this majority alliance to keep her as a loyal number, even when it comes time for the alliance to implode. She knows how much power Alec has in this game, so she needs to directly convince him that she's his new Garth, or new Shelby. Whatever it be. Daniela then fills in Hannah that she actually found the merge idol again earlier, so at least they have some hope now. Hannah smiles and says she's super happy for her. Daniela then tells her that they obviously have the numbers to split the votes at the next vote, so they just need to see if they can pick up one or two numbers onto their side. Hannah asks her if she's thinking about Roland and Maria, but Daniela says she'd rather chat with Julian first and see what his approach would be. Maybe he has relationships with the other side that he can pull in. Later on, Alec, Maria, Shelby, Steph, and Garth chat as a group, and Alec tells everyone that they need to rethink their strategy this round since they have the knowledge of Daniela's newly found idol. Garth says it's easy to split the votes here. If they put 4 votes on Daniela, they can guarantee she goes home if she doesn't use her idol. If she uses it, Hannah gets 3 votes and they go into a tied re-vote. Alec then suggests Julian instead, mainly because he's actively trying to work with Daniela while Hannah is just mixed in with that other side by default. In confessional, Alec says he needs to protect Hannah at this next vote because that's a new ally for his game. She might be a deadly weapon, just like how Shelby has become his deadly rocket launcher. He might need to recycle some of his older allies eventually. Steph then tells Alec that she's not comfortable voting out Julian since he is technically from their Snakes tribe. Hannah is an easy number for Daniela, and if they let her get to the end, she might easily win the jury votes. Alec tells Steph it's too soon to calculate jury votes, especially since their own alliance would build up as the majority on that jury. In confessional, Steph says she knows Alec's tactics. He's trying to get the people out who do not benefit his individual game, and he's not playing for the alliance. However, many people believe that he's doing what's best for the entire group. She can't let Julian go home. There's no reason for Hannah to stay over him. Maria then tells the group that they'll just go over their options tomorrow. The immunity challenge could make a huge difference in their final plan. Shelby agrees and says she might just go for an early sleep now because those boba balls are bubbling in her stomach. With it now being nighttime, Daniela sits with Julian near the camp area, asking him what he thinks their next move should be. Julian tells her he doesn't know because he feels like their options are very limited, even with her newly found idol. Daniela then asks him if he thinks there's any chance they can flip 2 people onto their side, and Julian says he only considers Steph as a possibility. The only issue is she won't directly target Alec. Daniela then tells Julian they should appeal to Steph as free numbers, willing to do whatever she wants to do. They can make a statement to her that she needs to make a move for her own game, and they are willing to help with that because it directly benefits their own games as well. In confessional, Julian says he could easily just work with the majority alliance this next vote because that's the easiest thing to do. However, with Daniela now having another idol, it opens up new opportunities. Not to mention, his own ass is on the chopping block since they can't vote Daniela out. He needs to speak with Steph tomorrow and let her know that this is her only chance to make a move against Alec. If she doesn't take the shot, nobody ever will. It's day 25, and everyone stands on the challenge mat in preparation for the next immunity challenge. Justin then tells Daniela to hand back the necklace, so she heads up to pass it over. Justin then lets everyone know that immunity is back up for grabs, and today's challenge will test their mental strength. In this, everyone will be in their own booth and answer a trivia question about the season so far. They will answer with red or blue as the two possible answers. Anyone who gets the question wrong will be eliminated from the challenge. The last player standing after everyone else gets eliminated will win immunity, safe from the vote tonight. With everyone now ready in their booths, Justin proceeds to read out the first question. Which players received exactly 9 votes in this merge so far? Red for Alec and Jeannie, or blue for Jeannie and Adam? Everyone then chooses an answer, and Justin reveals that the answer is red, Alec and Jeannie. Nobody is eliminated from this first round. On to the next question. How many hidden immunity idols have been used in this merge so far? Red for 1, or blue for 2? Everyone then stands on their answer, and Justin reveals the answer as blue, which everyone has gotten correct. On to question 3. After today's immunity challenge, how many individual immunity necklaces would be given out so far? Red for 6, or blue for 7? Everyone then steps on their answer, and Justin reveals the answer as blue, 7. Daniela and Shelby are incorrect, so they both sit down as they are eliminated. Now for question 4. During the day 1 starting match chat, who spoke first? Red for Annalise, or blue for Fabian? Everyone then steps on their answer, and Justin reveals the answer as blue for Fabian. That means Steph, Maria, Garth, and Alec are all eliminated and therefore sit down on the ground. This leaves Betty, Julian, Hannah, and Roland in the challenge. Justin then proceeds to question 5. During the endurance challenge last round, what placement did Adam get? Red for 7th, or blue for 8th? Everyone answers the question, and Justin reveals the answer as red, 7th place. Hannah and Julian are incorrect and therefore are eliminated from the challenge. It just leaves Betty and Roland fighting for this immunity. Justin then proceeds to question 6. In the pre-merge, how many times did the Red Tribe head to Tribal Council to vote someone out? Red for 4, or blue for 5? Betty and Roland then answer differently from each other, with Betty answering red and Roland answering blue. Justin reveals that the correct answer is blue, 5 times, which means Roland has 1 individual immunity, safe from tonight's tribal. Everyone claps for him, and Maria runs over to him to give him a hug. Back on the mat, Justin calls up Roland, so he heads up for his necklace. Justin puts the necklace around his neck, claiming he will not be leaving tonight. As for the rest, someone will be the 13th person voted out and the 3rd member of the jury. With that, everyone starts heading back to camp, and in confessional, Julian says that he needs to hold a serious conversation with Steph because if he doesn't, he stands no chance tonight at survival. The last thing he wants to do is pray to God these people vote Hannah out over himself. He'd rather increase his odds at survival by pushing Steph to flip on the majority alliance. Back at camp, multiple people congratulate Roland on his immunity win, and in confessional, Roland says he's feeling great wearing the necklace today because he is technically in the minority, though masking it as if he's in the middle with Maria. His loyalty was with Adam, so he's somewhat guilty of association when it comes to Hannah and Daniela. He needs to think through his options today because while voting out Daniela or Hannah is the easy move, it might not be the right one for his game. Maria and Roland are later in private, and Maria admits she doesn't want to see Daniela go yet. She's someone who would protect them moving forward because of their Phoenix blood. Roland agrees and says it's probably best to convince Daniela to use her idol on herself. It's very likely the big alliance will split between her and Hannah at this point. In confessional, Maria says she wants to actively keep people around who she can trust and who she knows will not take a shot at her anytime soon. Roland is someone she can obviously rely on until the very end. Alec and Shelby are both great assets to her game. Daniela will never take a shot at her, or at least not right now. Perhaps it's best to let go of Hannah or Julian next. Meanwhile, Julian speaks with Steph, asking her if she knows what the majority is planning to do tonight. Steph tells him they all want Daniela's idol flushed out, so whether she uses it or not, she will still receive the most votes tonight. When it comes to the other name though, his name has come out of Alec's mouth. Julian smirks and says he expected this. In confessional, Julian says he's not surprised Alec wants to cut him now, despite being told they were good last round. It makes sense because of last vote. He voted for Alec, so now Alec wants revenge, just like how he got it with taking Jeannie out. Julian then tells Steph that he's screwed if Daniela uses her idol on herself, and Steph tells him they will need to rally up Hannah and Daniela together and convince them to vote out one of Shelby, Garth, or Betty. In confessional, Steph says she's ready to make a move tonight. It's no longer Alec's moves going forward. He wants Julian out, but she's not letting him go. It'll be interesting to see how he does without one of his 3 main sheep. Julian then asks Steph if she will be part of this vote flip, but Steph says she needs to evaluate the numbers first. If Daniela and Hannah aren't trustworthy, they can't move forward with the move. Julian later goes to Daniela and Hannah, and he informs them that there could be a plan in the works to take out someone from the opposing side. Daniela says they are grasping at anything right now, so she's willing to hear it out. Julian then tells the two that they could potentially put 4 votes on one of Alec's sheep, those being Shelby, Garth, or Betty. If the 3 of them can lock this in, Steph will be their 4th vote, and she promised to go through with it. Daniela then asks why they aren't just chopping Alec first, but Julian says that Steph is too attached to him to let him go. He won't question it right now though, especially because they need Steph's vote badly. Daniela then asks if she should play her idol tonight in that case, and Julian tells her to save herself. It's the only way this plan can be executed. In confessional, Daniela says she's not going to take any chances tonight and she will be using her idol on herself. Steph lied to her before about the vote, so nothing is stopping her from giving false hope again. However, if this plan works, this could be a great move against Alec's kingdom. Betty and Shelby chat with Steph, and Betty asks if both of them are good with the split vote plan on Daniela and Julian. Steph says yes, but Shelby asks if they can just remind her what this split is since she has short-term memory loss. Steph then says that the 3 of them and Alec will be voting for Daniela. Maria, Roland, and Garth are on Julian. Shelby nods and says she's good with it in that case. In confessional, Steph says she's starting to stress out because this move could be a huge one if she takes out one of Alec's people. She truly wants to keep both Alec and Julian around as long as possible because they have nowhere to go but to her. Alec has too much power now, to the point where he might not care sending her home. So, that has to change, and it starts by voting out Betty. Betty will unfortunately need to go to weaken Alec's ego and hold on this game. Meanwhile, Maria and Daniela chat, and Maria tells her they don't have much time to chat with each other before people start getting suspicious. All she needs to know is that they are good. Daniela asks her what this means for tonight, and Maria says that while there is a split vote in plan, her and Roland will ensure she can idol out one of the people from the big alliance. Daniela then asks who the split is, and Maria says that all she needs to know is that there will be 6 votes for her, and 1 vote for Julian. If she can get Hannah and Julian together to vote someone out from the opposition, they will have the numbers. Maria then starts walking away, and Daniela covers her face and laughs to herself. In confessional, Daniela says that this is actually comical. To have Maria come to her and admit that all the votes are getting poured on her is amazing. She can use her idol on herself and single-handedly choose who goes home. Could she do Maria dirty for what she did to her before? She could. But, right now, It's important to build up an alliance, and Maria is clearly willing to be loyal to her moving forward. Before tribal council, Alec and Shelby whisper to each other at camp, and Alec admits he's getting really suspicious that their plan won't work. Shelby tells him she doesn't trust it either, mainly because Garth and Steph originally wanted Hannah out over Julian. Nothing is stopping them from flipping. Alec then analyzes the groups of people around him, and then he tells Shelby to expect a switch tonight because they are no longer going to put 4 votes on Daniela. Shelby then asks him what he thinks they should do instead, and Alec says that all votes will go on Julian now. In confessional, Alec says he needs to be extra sure that his target goes home tonight. This current split vote plan doesn't satisfy him because there are too many variables. Maria and Roland might not be trustworthy. Garth or Steph could tip Daniela off to play her idol. He didn't even get the chance to speak with Hannah yet about this vote. Maybe they should take some of the Daniela voters and make them vote for Julian to ensure he goes home tonight. It's night 25, and everyone is seated at tribal council. Justin welcomes them back, introducing Adam as the latest juror. He then congratulates Roland on his 3rd individual immunity this season, and Roland thanks him, claiming that you never really know what can go down at tribal, so this protection means a lot for him right now. Justin then asks if last tribal created any new lines in the tribe, but Roland says that things aren't drastically different. Everyone knows there's a majority and a minority, and things haven't really changed from his perspective. Julian then speaks up, admitting that the tribe is basically divided into 7 people on one side, and then 3 on the other, those being himself, Daniela, and Hannah. Justin then asks Daniela if that basically locks in that one of the 3 of them are going home tonight, but Daniela says that nothing is set in stone. She learned that the hard way when she was blindsided for the first time right before merge. Justin then turns to Shelby, asking her if this majority alliance of 7 is a strong 7, and Shelby says she'd like to think so. It's still a fresh alliance that could fall apart if even one person chooses to switch up their vote. Alec smiles and says he thinks it's too fresh to be relied on. Justin asks him for clarification on what he's trying to indicate, and Alec says he just doesn't know if the majority's plan is foolproof. Steph then squints at Alec, and then Alec goes to whisper Garth. Justin then turns to Hannah, asking her if the whispering means anything to her right now. As Hannah responds, Alec goes to whisper to Steph, letting her know that they are putting their votes on Julian. Steph asks him why, but he tells her to just trust him. As he goes to whisper to Betty, Steph whispers to Maria and Roland, asking them if they know what's going on and why Alec wants the votes on Julian now. Justin then turns to Julian, asking him if this whisper session gives him hope to survive tonight, but Julian says it's kind of doing the opposite for him. He feels like tribal whispers are the best way to convince people to stick to a plan, and that's exactly what Alec is trying to do. He wants to ensure one of the 3 people on the bottom go home tonight. Alec then sits back down, letting Justin know he's all good now. Shelby starts to laugh out loud, claiming that this was so stupid. Betty admits that this whole thing was unnecessary, and then Justin asks her why she thinks that. Betty then explains that last-minute whispering is in general stupid because it confuses everyone. They had a good plan going into tonight, but for whatever reason it has to change. Daniela then whispers to Hannah, asking her if she should even use the idol on herself, and Hannah tells her she might need to use it on someone else. Daniela then asks if she wants the idol, and Hannah nods. Justin then turns to Steph, claiming that she does not look super comfortable anymore, and Steph says she never felt comfortable when she walked in. She always thinks about the potential of a blindside hitting her like a truck, and that could very well be tonight if she's being lied to. Justin then tells everyone that it might be a good time to test out what really is going down here, so it's time to vote.
I'll tally the votes. If anyone has a hidden immunity idol and they want to play it, now would be the time to do so. Daniela is deciding to use her hidden immunity idol tonight. She is using it on herself. Any votes for Daniela will not count tonight. I'll read the votes. First vote. Steph. Julian. Betty. That's 1 vote Steph, 1 vote Julian, 1 vote Betty. Julian. 2 votes Julian. Betty. That's 2 votes Julian, 2 votes Betty, 1 vote Steph. Julian. Betty. We're tied. 3 votes Julian, 3 votes Betty. Julian. 4 votes Julian, 3 votes Betty, 1 vote Steph. Betty. We're tied again, 4 votes Julian, 4 votes Betty, 1 vote Steph, 1 vote left. 13th person voted out of Survivor China and the 3rd member of the jury. Betty.
Alec immediately looks to his left, and Betty scoffs and gets up out of her seat. Julian covers his mouth and Hannah looks at everyone else in silence. Betty hugs Garth and then Alec, and then she tells everyone she cannot wait to watch from that jury bench. Everyone laughs and Steph tells Betty they love her. Betty then puts her torch down next to Justin and watches her torch get snuffed. She then heads out, and Alec breathes out heavily, still unsure what went down. Justin then tells the tribe to head back to camp, so they all start making their way out. Next time on Survivor China. With Alec's kingdom officially under attack, he immediately tries to rebuild it to get back into a majority. On the other hand, Maria tries to get most of the original Phoenix players back together, including Roland, Daniela, and Hannah. However, with Hannah trying to prove her loyalty with Alec, will she spill the beans to him or keep quiet? Things are getting more crazy as we get closer to the end, so stay tuned for the next episode. Betty's final thoughts. Betty admits it's bittersweet to go home through a blindside, but she has no reason to be pissed off. A move was bound to be made against the majority alliance. She's probably the most bitter at Alec because he had no reason to switch up the vote at Tribal Council. They had a simple, solid plan going in, but it got messed up. Whether it was his fault or not, there are plenty of people here playing hard, and she's glad she can watch the game unfold from the jury bench.